Yes, it's a bold statement, but I think this diver could be Seiko's best for 2024. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today we've got a super episode on Seiko. Now, one of my favourite watches from Seiko of all time is the 62 Mass, Seiko's first ever dive watch that came out in 1965. In 2020, it was their 55th anniversary of that watch, and they brought out the SPB 143, a recreation of the 62 Mass, and although I absolutely loved it, I didn't buy it. I thought the case was slightly big, looked a little bit bulky on my wrist, the bracelet didn't really sit well in the case, and at the time I couldn't really justify spending £1,200 on a 3 Hertz movement. 4 years later, Seiko have reimagined a reimagination. More refinements, added bonuses, and unusual for Seiko at this time, the same price as 4 years ago. They've come out with 3 colorways. We've got a Cove Black, a special limited edition Tide Grey, and the one I'm going to show you today, Scuba Blue. Are these new 62 Mass reissues that much better than the 2020 ones that you'd need to get rid of the old ones and bring these ones in? Only one way to find out. Are you Seiko ready? Let's go. And ladies and gentlemen, here is the SPB 451J1.
What a stunner!
And already in my hands and looking over the case, well, it definitely looks thinner than the SPB 143. Certainly on the sides of the lugs. The bezel looks a little bit different, more on that later. I think the crown is the same, however, it does look like it's recessed in more into the case. The lugs look slightly smaller, which is going to look great on me. This could make the watch feel more like a 39 than a 40. Now, I don't mind talking about it now, but the big contentious part of this reissue is where the date window is. Not only that, the window is circular, and the date wheel, from what I can tell, is black. It may be dark blue, but I can't really tell at the minute. Honestly, I thought I'd hate it, but it is that subtle. It's making that symmetrical dial now pop out at me. I'm still not a massive fan of how that bracelet end link fits into the case. However, I do feel it's better than the 2020 version. Nice to see we've still got the drilled lugs. And I've got to be honest, I love this blue colour. First impressions, sweet. Quick spec check. So we've got a 40mm diameter case. I think that's 0.6 of a millimeter smaller than the SPB 143. They've shaved the thickness down to 13mm, and they've shaved the lug to 46.4. In fact, they've done so much shaving, this watch looks like it's just come back from a holiday at the Gillette warehouse. Also, we have a 20mm lug width, which means this watch is going to be a strapaholic. We have a slightly curved domed sapphire crystal protecting the dial. It's not a signed crown at 3 o'clock, but that's usual for Seiko, even at this price range. We also have a screw down case back. An update from this watch is the water resistance. Even though the case has shrunk and thinned out a bit, Seiko have managed to add the water resistance 100 meters to 300. I'm not sure anyone was really asking for another 100 meters, and we have to ask the question, why didn't they do that in the first place? The more and more I look at this watch over, I can see a definite comparison to my Black Bay 58 Blue. It's definitely a more wearable size now, and it's definitely going to rival that Black Bay 58. Let's look at the bracelet, because that's had a tweak as well. We have smaller links, which are thinner, solid end links. We have a smaller clasp, which I'm really happy about. And although Seiko have taken away a few micro adjustments, how many of us really use more than 2 notches to find the right fit? And we do have a little bit of a rudimentary diver's extension that is quite tricky to get out. Not really needed, but the brushwork overall is phenomenal, and it's a big win for me. Let's talk about the bezel. This has an anodized aluminium insert, and I'm pretty sure the SPB 143 never had a slope on the edge of that stainless steel. To me as well, the teeth of the coin edging doesn't seem as deep as the 143, which means you're not going to get the same amount of grip. The feeling of it, well, it's a Seiko. It has that spongy wongy feeling, doesn't it? 120 clicks, unidirectional, no backplay whatsoever. Have a listen. It's not going to win any awards, but it's exclusive to Seiko. Yes, it feels more refined than my SKX, but they do feel related, if you know what I mean. It's another win.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the face.
Dial time.
And for me, this is Seiko at its best, taking inspiration from the 60s to make something in 2024 look spot on. This watch isn't trying to look old, so I've got no problem with the Prospex logo, a sign that this is an actual diver's tool. What I'm not really bothered about is the word 3 days on the dial. I know Seiko want to shout about it, but I'm not bothered. It's a very well done sunburst effect. I really love the hour markers with the double batons at 12. I'm also a fan of this handset where you have polishing on one side and brushing on the other, and a little tic-tac Lume pip on the end of the second hand where it should be, and it is the most subtlest date window Seiko have ever done. The reholt on this watch is very steep. I'm not sure I've seen a steeper Seiko reholt than this one, but overall the dial is magnificent, proper Seiko looking, massive win from me. So we've got Lume on the pip of the bezel, Lume on the hands, Lume on the hour markers. Out of 10, let's see how this puppy glows. Did you think it was going to be bad? Hell no! And this is a magical light show, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, powering this beauty is a brand new movement, yeah. It's the in-house 6R55. What's so good about it? All right, I'm coming to it. It's 0.2 of a millimeter thinner than the 6R35. And it's got a gold-toned rotor. And it's got an extra 2 hours of power reserve. Haha. Yeah, this is a funny one. The 6R35 had a 70 hours power reserve. Upping the power reserve by 2 hours gives Seiko 3 whole days of power reserveness. As I've told you in the past, I would much rather have a refined 4Hz smooth sweep than more hours worth of power reserve. This is going to be a daily driver, a daily diver, a watch you wear every day. I don't think it needs such a high power reserve. Kudos, Seiko, for adding 2 more hours on your power reserve so that you can write 3 days on the dial, but I'm not sure that's a move for the watch enthusiast or a customer that doesn't really care about power reserve. So then who is it for other than Seiko bragging rights to the likes of Hamilton? Anyway, 24 joules beating away at a 3 Hz 21,600 beats per hour, and it will lose 15 or gain 25 seconds a day. This watch is only losing 2 seconds a day. Their parameters are quite wide to separate the 6R55 more from the 35. Squeeze that accuracy a little bit more, huh?
Hello.
On my 6.5-inch wrist, and Seiko have absolutely nailed this size. The watch hugs the wrists more, the refinements glisten more. I honestly don't think you're gonna find a better Seiko diver than this in 2024. The bracelet feels comfortable, and just looking down the barrel of the watch, it just feels and looks more refined than the SPB 143. I think this is absolutely awesome. So there you go, the SPB 451J1. And I've got to be honest, I think this could be the best Seiko diver for 2024. It's inspired by the past, refining what it did 4 years ago, adding a new movement. It's been trimmed, shortened, and I think it's an absolute Seiko winner. And yes, I did have my doubts about liking the date window, but people, it is so subtle that only if you actually want to know the date, you're gonna see it. I'm not sure why they made this watch 300 meters worth of water resistance, maybe to detach itself from the SPB 143 with its 200 meters, but this one is a far better watch. And Seiko aren't charging you any more than they did for the SPB 143 back in 2020. Is this a good price for this watch? Ooh, it's close. Around $850 to £1,000 is more where I see it. Spending that much money on a 3 Hz movement still hurts me, even though it is a brand new movement.
With 3 days of power reserve, wow!
But you know what, I can definitely see me owning one of these soon. But if they came out with a grey dial like the 62 Mass, I might have that in a shop. Here it is, my wife's views on the SPB 451J1. Haha, beauty. Very boring. I feel like I've seen this about 80 times. It reminds me of your Tudor, but boring, 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 boring blue. She loved it, didn't she? Oh, God. Thank you so much for Seiko. Yes, Seiko for sending this in. I'm going to get home and ship this back ASAP. They're honestly going on the right direction with these 62 masses and not increasing the prices. But I'd love to know what you guys think. Stick it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you want a bit more of the Mad Watch Collector, click there and join. But if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you click this one? Oh, this is one. Go on, this is A1. Go on. Keep my algorithm going. Come on, you know you want to. Go on, click it. Click it. Click it.